welcome to Sammy C. Press. Today we're going to be diving back into something more than Shakespeare Poetry Workbook. We're going to be discussing Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Let's get into some quick facts. She was born in 1806 and died in 1861. She was the oldest of 12 children. She started writing poetry at the age of 11. She was born in England. She was an English poet during the Victorian era. She was part of the Romantic movement. She was married to her husband, Robert Browning, who was also a poet. She became ill at 15 and suffered from intense head and spinal pain for the rest of her life. She was given laudanum for pain, which probably contributed to her poor health. Her and her husband's son was known as Pen, and he was a painter. She was influenced by Edgar Allan Poe, as well as Emily Dickinson. Elizabeth's volume of poetry in 1844 made her one of the more popular writers in the country. Robert Browning, from above, was inspired by Elizabeth's poetry so much that he wrote her a letter. He wrote, "I love your verses with all my heart, dear Miss Barrett," praising her fresh, strange music, the affluent language, the exquisite pathos, and the true, new, brave thought. Can you guess what happened next? Only one of the most famous courtships in literature. But they had to do so in secret because of her father's disapproval. One of her poems, entitled "The Cry of the Children," was written after reading a report on the employment of children in mines and factories. Like her husband, she spoke up about cruel and unjust treatment. Many of her poems are very long. Some are even as long as books. I've included a few of her shorter poems in our poetry workbook, one of which is the Sonnet 14, "If thou must love me, let it be for naught." This is an Italian sonnet. Now remember, to be an Italian sonnet, you have to have an octave followed by a particular rhyme scheme, and then a sestet followed by a particular rhyme scheme. The speaker does not wish to be loved for any other reason other than love itself. We know that looks can change, and that would be a fragile basis for love. The speaker would rather never know what love was than to have love and then end up losing it. If you'd like to learn more about some of her poetry, you could check out our workbook or simply use Google. We hope you've enjoyed the discussion today about Elizabeth Browning. Until next time.